This temple, Puttu Chokkanathar Temple, is well known for one of the 64 holy plays which had been enacted by Lord Shiva in Madurai. Out of the 64 holy plays, one, named as Cand on the Back, which has been called as Perumbadi patta leelai in Tamil language. This holy play had taken place here itself, where now the temple lies. This holy play had been enacted by Lord Shiva for the dual purposes, which had been not only for saving his disciple Manickka vasagar from the cruel clutches of the king marthana pandiyan, but also for granting immortality to the old lady Vanthi, who had been selling puttu, which is one type of boiled rice cake. Lord Shiva, here in Madurai, enacted as a coolie man, for the purpose of raising the bank of the river Vaigai, as it had been ordered by the king of Madurai, that a person from each family had to repair the bank of the river Vaigai, as it had overflown on both sides. Every one of Madurai's citizens were engaging in the repair of the banks of the river Vaigai, except an old lady, called as Vanthi, as she had been alone, without any children for her to help in that issue. As the old lady Vanthi hadn't any family at all, for her part, she had to engage an alternate person for that repairing task. For that, she had prayed to Lord Shiva, who has been enshrined in Madurai as Lord Shiva, that, however, only he could help her in that task. On having noticed the prayer of that old lady Vanthi, Lord Shiva came there for helping her in the task of raising the banks of the river Vaigai. For that, he asked her to serve the puttu, that is an Indian boiled food, made up of rice. She also accepted his demand, and served him with the boiled rice cake, called as puttu. Lord Shiva, after having eaten the puttu, pretended as if he had worked in the bank-raising task of the river Vaigai. He went here and there, without having done any of the work, regarding his part. After that, he went for great sleep under a tree. The guards of the king marthana pandiyan also noticed his action of repairing work. But they remained silent, that something had bound their hands, to punish him. When the king marthana pandiyan visited the river Vaigai to know about the progress of the repairing process of the banks, he noticed a man who slept under a tree without having done any work. He inquired the guards about him and his participation. The guards had replied the king that the man had been the alternate for the old lady Vanthi, and they also added that the man never had done any work at all. The king marthana pandiyan, on having seen Lord Shiva, who had disguised in the form of hirer, became very angry enough to beat him with a cane on his back. Ouch! That blow and its associated pain had been experienced by each one of the creature in this world, including the king marthana pandiyan himself. The king, who was stunned with mixed feeling of fear and surprise, noticed the sleeping man very closely. Lord Shiva, who had been disguised in the form of coolie man, awakened by the blow on his back, and suddenly stood up, and threw a handful of sand over the banks of river Vaigai. What a surprise! Both banks of the river Vaigai had raised to a sufficient level, and water level had been controlled gradually. Lord Shiva appeared before the king, in his real form. The king at once fell down on the ground, and had begged his pardon to forgive him for his wrongdoing. Lord Shiva had told the king that it had been one of his holy plays, and it could have been happen only for the salvation to the old lady Vanthi.